Welcome to the Investor Empowerment Series radio show, empowering your real estate investing with techniques, opportunities, and information, minus the BS and sales pitches. Now, please welcome the host of the Investor Empowerment Series, Joe Mueller, from the Tough as Nails Investment Syndicate, Joe Mueller.
Well, thanks for taking the time to interview with me today, Andrew. Can you just give us a brief explanation of how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, so basically, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Joe, didn't really know what that meant. My whole goal always was really didn't have the best of time at college, not because I couldn't hack it, it just I wasn't necessarily too keen on it, because if there was a class which was called How to Be a Millionaire, I would ace that class, because that's all I cared. Was my focus, even to the counselor in college, was, man, what can I do that'll earn me millions? And when I asked him, literally, he's like, he didn't know what to say. I'm sure he wanted to say, you're nuts. But really, I was willing to street the sweeps if it would get me to do well. I mean, that was all my focus was. And it was that way since I was a little kid. All I could see was people who did well at that time made a lot of money, seemed to have the choices, and that's all I wanted. So real estate, as I started reading more, getting to know more and more successful people, real estate was a big part of it, and hence I got into real estate. I mean, I took a Pell Grant they give you in college, $1,900, and I bought a real estate course as an agent, right, to become a real estate agent. I thought that meant if you're an agent, that meant you're an investor, not knowing the difference between the two. So, but
sure,
that was kind of my beginning at 19 years old. So,
yeah, so that's kind of funny because that's like right around the age that I got started as well. And I listened to one of your other podcasts last week, and I never, even though I'd gone to some of your meetings and we've talked before, I didn't know you got started. We kind of have a similar history and background as far as that goes.
Right.
Which is
definitely
awesome.
Yeah.
So, tell me about what you do. I mean, to tell the listeners what you're up to and how it all works with Andrew Holmes.
So today, basically, till 2008, I had dabbled into different things. I bought some gas stations, undeveloped land, developed it with a partner, sold that, did that sort of a thing. It was all around real estate investing in some way or the other. But till 2008, I was pretty much selling real estate. And I was interested in investing. That was something I paid a lot of attention to. But since I could invest, where I had a little bit of savings put aside since 2002 to 2006 or 7, I felt the market was too hot. And every time I would try to go buy something, I would just get outbid. So in 2008 is the first time when I felt that, oh my God, now is the time that I'm going to jump in. So since 2008 till today, basically, we do a lot of flips at any given time. We own a bunch of rental properties. I think we're somewhere 165, 170. Single family, 2 flats to 4 flats. That's the niche we invest in when it comes to rentals. And then, as you know, in Chicago, that has kind of developed into a radio show. It has developed into Chicago Rehab, and which is a way of giving back, a way of sharing what we do. And that has developed into some other programs where people come to try to learn exactly what our business is. So we've touched either wholesaled, flipped, or buy and hold about 800 or so properties at this point in that time. Now, a major amount of them have, I guess we'll get into it, but what the goal for me is I want 200 properties that by the age of about 47, 48, I want all of them paid off, period.
Awesome.
So that's really what my goal is.
And tell me how you're going to do that, because I know you have some, you've got a strategy behind that, right?
So our strategy is something that's fairly simple. We call it 257. And that means that in 2 years, how do you accumulate a minimum of 5 houses and get them all paid off in 7 years? So they have to be bought in the right area. By right area, I mean a bread and butter area, which is next to an aspirational area, typically. Number 2 is the cash flow that comes from each property. Minimum cash flow we try to hit is $500 after all expenses. We always want to be in the property with a minimum of 20 to 30% equity position after rehab. And the property, 5 properties put together, so you're taking the cash flow from 5 of them, attacking mortgage number 1, knocking that off, and number 2, number 3, number 4. So we've just taken that concept of 257 cash flow for life and taken it on a larger scale. Awesome. So the whole idea is that we'll continue buying as long as the numbers are good. The day the numbers go too high in terms of the property prices rising, we'll quit and dedicate all the cash flow to paying off properties.
Awesome. What do you see going on with the real estate market right now? And what's your opinion of what we're going to expect in the future for as far as the cycles and whatnot? And
I wish any one of us had a magic ball. I certainly don't, but I think in general we're going to be in a stabilizing phase. There's still a lot of inventory, that's shadow inventory, that kind of stuff. It's certainly not to the extent that we were at. I wish I had the amount of capital that I have today and the knowledge I have today 4 or 5 years ago, but that's true for all of us, right? Yep. It's just a constant growth. So I think over time, I think we're in a stabilization cycle, but I still think for people in the know, there's always opportunities. It's just that we have become pickier and more cautious in terms of what we're buying, because I think right now, the one thing that is kind of maybe scary in a good way and scary in a bad way is that rentals people are paying. You can own a property and live in it for $900 to $1,000 a month. On the same property, a renter is paying $1,600.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's a market cycle thing, but still, even if there's a pullback of rents a little bit, $1,400, still that's okay by our standards because we buy with that in mind. So I think we'll stabilize over time, but the real estate cycle is cyclical. It'll repeat itself in terms of it'll go up. I'm not sure it'll go down to the extent that it did in 2008, but there's always opportunities to make money.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I just started asking that question in the last podcast, so you're the second person I've asked just out of my own curiosity, because I've heard multiple examples of, we're going to see a crash next year. It's going to be somewhat close to what we saw 10 years ago, and then I've heard the exact opposite, which is it's going to be fine. It's just going to stay. It's going to maintain stabilized as it is now, and then you might see a little bit of a dip, so on and so forth. So, with somebody with your amount of experience with 800 properties under his belt in some way, shape, or form, flipping or rental, I thought it'd be a good question. So back to the 257. This 200 properties. Are these going to be? You mentioned the word we. I mean, you're partnered up with some other people when you're buying these assets. Is that how it works?
I have one business partner, Rahul. You know Rahul,
yes.
Right? And so that's kind of how it is. Initially, I bought a lot of properties, which I believe in heavily in partnering with people. I happen to be one of those guys that I'm not that smart, yet I believe I have a PhD in real estate, which is I steal ideas and thoughts from everybody. I give them credit for it, but there's clearly things, and I've told you this, you do much better than I can do. Than I'll ever do. We all have our niches. We all are good at something or the other. The key is, can you take ideas and thoughts, analyze them, learn from others, and run with it? And I started with very little capital, even though I had put aside some money. So I partnered with people throughout, 50-50 partnerships. And now all the properties that I own, predominantly I own those with Rahul.
Okay.
So technically in the 200 properties, I'd be a 50% partner. He'd be a 50% partner.
Sure.
So, and both of us, my job is to do the acquisitions, to put the money together. His job is to deal with all the headaches and put out all the fires I create. So that's kind of how, it's just, you need that.
Sure.
And without somebody like him, it's just, for me, I know it was impossible to grow at that scale. So that's kind of, when I refer to we, I mean, kind of in that context. And there's a lot of other people that we have tied into our different businesses that are gracious enough to give of their time. So we try to help them where we can with our expertise, and they come in, give of their time, give of their love, knowledge, whatever it is. So to me, real estate is a team sport. It's not just me versus the world, because that is a sure way to get depressed and quit. Because at least once every 2 weeks, I'm like, why are we doing all this for? I'm okay at this point. Maybe I can just quit. But quitting is just not an option. So that's why I've always taken that approach where I would rather share a pie rather than try to eat the whole thing.
Sure. And if you did quit, what else would you do?
There we go.
That's a question I face every day in the mirror when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
So what would those 200 properties put you at as far as a net cash flow? I mean, what's your goal cash flow wise?
My goal is I want between Rahul and I want $100,000 net cash flow every month without us doing the actual legwork. Right. So a property management company, which we have in-house, them managing the properties, and I want a minimum of net 100,000, which I feel in terms of reality, it is very, very realistic to do. Now, it's going to take some time. I wish I could tell you we're clearly not there right now because the properties are not all paid off. But just to put that in numbers, right now our net cash flow on every single property, if you average it out, comes to about $500.
Okay.
So if you take $500 and you multiply that 150, it's a pretty decent number. It's not something, but as soon as they start getting paid off, the number just clearly doubles. And the reason I came up with that number is I don't have that fancy a lifestyle. I live in a fairly humble house, besides maybe a fancy car here or there, I'm okay, man. I mean, what are you going to eat? What are you going to do with it? But I think the possibility is there, and I would just like to try my hand at it. I mean, that's really all this is about, is that it's fun. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I'm not a great basketball player. I can't do really anything very well. We see the Olympics, it's depressing because it's people who all we can do is watch for TV and go, wow.
Right.
So we all have to pick a sport. This happens to be my chosen sport, or destiny chose it for me. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
But I'm just trying to do best at it. I mean, that's really all it is.
And it sounds like you've got the gold medal for sure, if you ask me, because you've got, those are some great numbers you brought up. 100,000 a month net would be awesome. Right now, if you've got, like you said, 500 a month as your net cash flow per property, I mean, that's like $75,000 a month from my quick iPhone calculator math.
And again, mind you, the way we look at it right now, quite honestly, it's about $48,000 to $49,000 a month net, right?
Okay.
Because you have some stabilizing expenses, you have some non-performing stuff that we're cleaning up as we go. So that's really where it's at. So for me to double that once the properties are paid off is very realistic. Hopefully it'll be more, but 100,000 is very realistic to do.
I think so. How did you get to that point of owning 160? And again, the point of the podcast, I'm trying to motivate and inspire the listener, right? There's a lot of, I actually just hung up the phone with somebody about 20 minutes ago, an aspiring investor based out of Ottawa, Illinois, where there's houses as low as $5,000.
Sure.
And as high as $150,000 to $200,000, depending on the part of the neighborhood. And she recently attended a seminar over one of the previous weekends from one of the guru-type groups out there, and they wanted a $50,000 investment from her on a credit card to get started. Sure. And I want people to hear how this is actually possible, as the normal layman doesn't need a $50,000 course to necessarily build their way to, a wealthy real estate business or career. So can you just give a little bit of background, and from 1 to 150, I don't want to know about every deal, obviously, but that's a lot of property. I mean, how many properties have you bought per month, per year, things like that?
So I'll give you an FYI. You know this, but just as an FYI, we do one of these hands-on programs, right? And we charge a lot of money for it, 10, 20, 30,000 bucks. So I want to be honest about it.
That's great.
The honest truth is this, that I have never personally gone ever in my life to a real estate course that teaches you how to be rich. I just have not.
Right.
My education was that I was a real estate broker, and I used to watch people's results. So if I ever sold an investor property, I would look at where they're at, who they are, where the property came from, what is the long-term business plan, and I studied it literally for 19 or 20 years. Now, I wish somebody had told me what I know today, but that's just hindsight, So my approach was simple. When we started acquiring rental properties in end of 2010 is the first time I ever owned a rental property. Before that, I never owned a rental property. Okay? So all the numbers on rentals specifically is after that. So what had happened was, year one, I think I did 4 transactions. And the way I did transactions was this. I met a couple people who had interest in investing in real estate, and my pitch to them was, hey, listen, I want to own rental properties that are free and clear paid off. If I could show you a way where you could buy one property with cash. I'll get it rehabbed. We'll refinance it. And whatever capital you put in initially, I can pay it back to you and we can own it 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, what's the catch? I'm like, well, there's no catch. I don't have a W-2 I had a 1099
Sure.
and I had quit selling real estate, so I couldn't get a back-end refi loan.
Right.
That was the reason why I needed them.
Sure.
So that's really was the start. And the first year, I think we did 6 or 8. The next year we did 25 or 30. And this is exactly how I did it. And as I got to 20 or 30, then I quit partnering with anybody outside except Rahul, because that was the reason I partnered with him. Is he would do exactly what I would say. I would explain something to him. No, I mean, it's just, and he had a W-2. I mean, that's really,
right.
He believed it. That was the path of least resistance for me. Mm-hmm. And plus he was helping me acquire more, even though he was working full time.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, the chemistry just hit. Mm-hmm. He is opposite of how I am personality-wise, and it just works. So since then, pretty much 95% of everything that we own, I own with him. But it was literally the first 2, it took me 6 months to do. The next 4 or 6 took me another 6 months. Mm-hmm. But now the progression it was a compounding effect, literally. Once I got to about 12 or 13, then I figured out that this is not just a one-off deal. First 2, I thought I got away with highway robbery. I mean, that's literally what I thought. It was a coup, And then we started looking about how do you build a sustainable, repeatable business, right? So today, at any given time, we have 15 to 20 properties in transaction that are being purchased, rehabbed, and rented, and being refinanced at the back end. So every month, we have 4 or 5 properties internally that we're refinancing, either with Rahul or with Ed, which I keep. Basically, we keep them in portfolios of 5 each, so we have 257, 257, 257, 257 a bunch of times over. Cool. But literally the first 2, honest to goodness, took me 6 months because it was a concept, it was an idea, it was a tough market to get refinances for.
Sure.
At the time, it took me going to 22 or 25 lenders to find one lender to do a refi. Today, almost every lender I go to, they're like, oh my God, first they don't believe what we're saying, they like the numbers, but they don't believe it. When we show them the numbers, you guys actually pull off what you say. I'm like, yeah, this is a business, man. I mean, I've always looked at it as business. This was not one thing. I don't look at it as this is not get rich quick. I want a get rich quick idea. I don't have one. Right. I wish I did. But what I've realized is that steadily I can build a lot. And at the end of the year, Tony Robbins once said something, we overestimate what we can do in a month or in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years.
Okay.
And it's a profound thought that it's a cumulative effect. It's not an effect over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Yet it was a struggle getting to 70. Mm-hmm. After that, I don't know when the 150 happened. It's just it's just literally because all I do is find a deal and put it in the system. That's all I do today, right? And the back end of it just happens. We buy it because we have the systems in place to rehab it, to get the property refinanced. I don't handle those today, but it gets done. And having said that, still, we're off on our rehab numbers from time to time. So not everything goes perfectly. Sure. I wish it did. But I know exactly what we're supposed to do, but are we able to do it all the time? No.
Right.
Just, that's how life is. So
absolutely. So yeah, I definitely want to circle back to what started this part of this conversation, which was about the fact that you're doing some coaching. And let me make it clear that when I brought up this investor I spoke with, like I said earlier today, and this weekend thing, this was one of the, see a commercial on TV, you've never met anybody, they claim that this TV star is going to show up and present their system and you're going to make all this money. But I haven't done your coaching program, but I have spoken to and am friends with a few of the members of your group that have gone through your coaching, and nobody has anything but positive results with it and good things to say. And the one thing I really like about what you're offering, and again, full disclosure, this isn't a sales pitch for the Andrew coaching program, but is you're not only teaching them what you know and how to build a real estate business for themselves, is you're staying along for the ride. So when they come up with a challenge a year or 2 years later, you are helping them to to overcome that obstacle and to continue to build their business. So you're just basically amassing this group of investors over time that is going to be an incredibly strong and successful, group of people to contend with, because they have this greater knowledge and they have you as their number one resource, right? So
absolutely,
which is great. And I don't really know much about the coaching program other than everybody has great things to say. So how can somebody get more information? Is it basically, I know you run a RIA group, I know you have the radio show, and we're going to touch on all that. What's the best way for somebody who's got further interest? Is it attending the RIA group?
I think it's attending the RIA group, and a lot of information we do. We've had you on, obviously, in different things we've done. We try to put out as much information as we know of for free, right? At the end of the day, and I've said this 100 times, that all the information that we teach, what we call as mastery, I put out. It's not, I don't hold any information back. Mm-hmm. Now, just please understand that when people are paying us a lot of money, I'm not going to give the exact bank contact. Some of the things that's proprietary for us. Sure. We've worked a lot hard at, but the basic things I'm happy to give out.
Absolutely.
Because the knowledge to me is power. The problem is it's not just knowledge, it's the frame in which you can put that. It's the context is way more important. And the reason we have had such high success is what we do is a brainwash. I mean, I was taught this way, how to sell a lot of real estate. And if you have a better way, if you have a right way, you want to do it your way, great, go ahead. But if you're going to be around us, you're going to do exactly what we suggest. Otherwise, we don't want you.
Okay.
My whole thing is that you go to McDonald's, they have a template. I don't care where they put the lettuce, but they have figured it out. They're on a bajillion-dollar company.
Right.
And if just because me and you think we're smart and we're going to go change their system, they're not stupid. We are, right? I mean, that's just, so what I'm saying is, in a very small way, we have some proven results. If somebody wants to duplicate those, then they have got to follow how we do it. Doesn't matter if it sounds crazy, doesn't matter if it sounds stupid. There's a logic to this madness, and we don't do things just because. Mm-hmm. So hence, I take this, and this is not something as much as sometimes people think, well, oh, Andrew, you guys are charging all this money. We absolutely do. It's expensive, right?
Sure.
But this is a labor of love. There is nothing in my life that I've done besides real estate where I attach this much pride to. So I take shit very personally if somebody comes in and says, well, no, Andrew said this and blah, blah, blah. Because this is not a business for me. This is a labor of love.
Okay.
Because real estate done correctly can make you, over time, literally a multimillionaire. Done incorrectly, it can ruin you. And a lot of times I see people with the best of intentions get ruined, not because that's their business plan, because they have no idea what they're doing. Right? And that's why I take it that personally, is that it's not something I can just play with. I cannot make flippant statements, and I cannot say things that, oh my God, you're going to be rich overnight. I don't know of anybody who runs a serious business. When somebody looks at your business, well, what did Joe have to worry about, man? He does all these deals, blah, blah. Well, yeah, it wasn't always this way.
Absolutely.
And somebody says anything about you or your business, is everything done perfectly? No. But the intent is to do the right thing. Absolutely. And I take that very, very personally. I mean, because people are like, well, you worry about it too much. Well, yeah, because it's my butt. I have to. So, kind of that's basically what it is. So
let's talk about the RIA then. Only because I've never been one. I go to the networking meetings and the meetup groups, and obviously you know that I have my own, and you've attended my meetup as well. Right now we're running a group out of Schaumburg, out of the Westwood, every month, and I got to be honest. I mean, I've attended over the years a bunch of the different type of RIA groups that are out there, and one of the things I was really impressed with your group was the quality of the attendees. There's, just like you just explained, this is not a get-rich type program. You're not making promises to them that you're not going to be able to fulfill, or putting thoughts in their heads that are not possible, which is typically what you'll see out of a lot of these other types of programs that are out there. And I just want to commend you on the fact that the meetings I have attended, you've got a positive group of people there. You've got people that are ready to do business. You've got some education, on your mastery program with the coaching going on in the background. So for anybody out there that's listening and is interested in attending another high-quality meetup group or RIA, definitely connect with Andrew and his group. because the attendees that are a lot of the times you see the same. Not only is your group growing, but you'll see the repeat type attendees as well, that are people that are in the business. They're actively wholesaling, they're actively buying for buy and hold, or they're fix and flipping, which I think is awesome, because the whole intent is to surround yourself with like-minded people, right? And that, you take away one tidbit every time you attend a meeting, or maybe, 2 or whatever, and that's going to help you and your business. So again, what's the best way for them to get more information on your group if they want to visit?
They can go to chicagorea.org. The website is chicagorea.org, or email us at info@chicagorea.org. And the whole point of what I liked is, maybe both of us are from the industry, as in both of us come from the brokerage background, real estate brokerage background, to this. What I like what you're doing, because, and this is funny that I should tell you this on this, is that they're like, man, Joe was not doing this meeting. Now he's doing a meeting. What do you think about it? I'm like, dude, listen, he's putting out honest information in a field where there's a lot of BS.
Sure.
Okay. I love the guy for it, and I respect him for it, because his approach is honest, basic information, which is real to the industry today. And he's trying to bring out as many people with good thoughts as possible.
Right.
You got to admire that in somebody. You have to admire that. I mean, I'm like, isn't that exactly the same thing what we're doing, we're trying to do? And what I saw with other groups, Joe, and maybe you can relate to this, is that they were nice people. It's not that people running it were really nice people. My problem was they never did anything, right? And they called themselves leader. I mean, if I wanted to be that type of a leader, I would go into politics, where you don't do a damn thing. No, I mean, seriously, man, you don't do a damn thing. It's do as I say, not as I do. Sure. And that pisses me off, is because even I know how to be in perfect health. But what the hell? I mean, I'm nobody to try to give somebody advice on being in perfect health. Am I in perfect health? No.
Right.
And with real estate, what I felt was I wanted to be in a group where not only, number one, I wanted to talk about the successes we were having. Number two, I wanted to identify other people who were successful, and because nobody identifies them. And I hate this format where, I'm not going to tell you because it's a big secret. I just don't believe in it.
Sure.
Right? And so what the whole point of the group was, let's do a lot of fun things. Let's bring people who we can learn from, and let's get some sort of a collection of people who are going somewhere. Right. And they're passionate about real estate. And let's share great ideas, great thoughts. Somebody takes it, runs with it, fantastic. Somebody just comes, listens, that's fantastic. But from my end, I wanted to try to put a kind of a, something with, like, let's just go balls to the walls, man. Let's see what the hell is possible. Because it's exciting, man. It's fun.
Right.
And I mean, I would have never had a chance to meet people like you. I had done business with you, but I had never really met. One day I'm like, dude, can you come out, please, and share your thoughts? You say something, and it's not like something, oh my God, so profound that, there's a halo around your head, but you have experiences that I don't, right? You've done certain things, and you'll say certain things. It'll create a thought. I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about that. So I reach out, hey, Joe, how do I do this?
Sure.
And it's that back and forth of ideas and celebrating other people's success. And it sounds kumbaya. It's not. It's done for a selfish reason. I did it so that my business would grow. I mean, I don't want to be clear about it, but what I've made so many good friends, and I've gained so much goodwill because of this whole thing, that it's incredibly productive. I never thought that investing was something I wanted to do for me. Yet it has become a community activity, and I have made incredible relationships in trying to be selfish, and it's fun. At the end of the day, it's become a social. I don't drink much. I don't gamble. I don't play sports. This is what I do. Right. And so this is, for me, this is just as fun as for somebody else going to an NFL game. It's we're talking to people who are doing the same thing, and you find out that my fears, worries, frustrations are no different than yours, and vice versa. So really, that's what it is.
And what's great about your group is every time I've attended, I mean, I walk into the room, I feel like the warmth of the room. Everyone's interested. Everyone wants to be a part of it. It's always a positive experience, and you walk out of there with new friends. I mean, that's the greatest part, because honestly, just like you brought it up earlier, but real estate investing is like an independent sport, right? There's not a lot of social aspect to it. You're not necessarily creating a business that's going to have 10, 20, 30 people surrounding you, so you can build your own personal portfolio, right? But what you've done is you've created a real estate investment family, and everyone is friends with you. Everyone knows you. Everyone knows each other in the room, and then you invite more people to attend, and it really is a great, positive, educational and motivational experience. So again, that's a great aspect of what you're offering, and I really appreciate it. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because I think anybody that's interested in investing, or whether they're experienced or not, can benefit from attending your group. And trust me, every time my schedule is kind of tough, and I know yours is as well, but I look at every single one of your emails, and I try to get out to as many of those groups as I can, which I really appreciate.
And I like I like that synergy, and I really respect for what you've done, because this is typically, I tend to be very competitive. If any other group opens up, I'm like, man, we'll beat them. And I mean, it's that competitive nature, right? You can't help it. And I've had this, and I believe in this, is that, dude, if you can outperform me, believe me, I'll kiss your ass. Not because, and because I respect you. I mean, because it's pure outperform. I hate those people who say, well, they're going to come and steal your list. It's like, dude, come on. Yeah. You got the guts. Let's compete, and let's compete fair and square. Right, and I love it. And you were one of the few people that I met, and you're like, man, I want to do this great program. I'm like, great, wonderful.
Right.
Do it. And I don't see too many places in real estate. And what we've built is a community where it doesn't matter who it is that is in trouble with a property, they're having a hard time. You can pick up a phone and go, hey, Simon, dude, this guy needs help, man. Can you please go and help him out? And people will go running, say, hey, dude, I got a great plumber. I got this guy. I got that guy. And without any self-interest, because, and that's, if one thing I'm proud of is that I genuinely believe in that, and I've done it, and it's come back to pay me 100-folds. Absolutely. That if I do that, and people see that, initially they're like, oh no, this is BS, right? And then once they catch that it's about truly being able to contribute, the benefits of that are tremendous, right? And that I see is lacking. And today what has happened is people are tired of the spin. I think the reason you did so well with your group in Schaumburg, because it's from your end, you're just trying to put a genuinely good group together. Now, what people do with it, you can't help that, right? But from your end, you're like, hey, listen, you want to do deals, this is the right way to go about it. This is what works. These are some of the people in the industry you should talk to. And I think that sort of the warmth is what I wanted to bring to the group, because most of these places you go, you ask, hey, what do you do? Well, no, I don't talk about it. What do you do? I'm like, well, you don't share anything, and you expect me to basically put out information. And so a lot of times I've asked people when they come, but guys, if you're not going to share anything, get the hell out. Go back to the stupid groups you guys came from, because we don't need that negative bullshit.
Yeah.
If you can contribute in some positive way, if you don't know anything, it's okay. Come learn, and hopefully next time, if you have something positive, please bring it to the group. And because that's the only way, and I see that happening in the tech sector nowadays, out in the California, in California. Why is there so many people, all of them doing so well? Mm-hmm. Because it's a collection of people who are just gung-ho people going for crazy ideas.
Right.
And I think that is needed sorely in our industry, because there's so many of these stupid people on TV and all this, and they propagate such bullshit.
Right.
And people get suckered by this bullshit because they really think that it's all about buying a fancy car. Anybody can buy a fancy car, man. Right. Anybody can buy a fancy house. That's not what business is about. We're talking about, let's build core good businesses that we can all be proud of. And I think if there's one thing I'm proud of, is being able to bring that idea to real estate and encourage a bunch of people that, guys, let's do it as a team. Let's do it even though it's individual investments. If I know something is bad, and if I know you're going to buy that property, it's my job, even though you might not know that I know about your property. I'm like, Joe, dude, it's a bad property, man. Don't buy.
Right.
Why do I want you to get stuck with something that I know is bad? That doesn't make sense to me. So, it's kind of the anti-traditional approach, but it seems to work. So,
no, but it's honest, and that's the best part. And I'll say 100% positive true fact here is I've met people at your meetings, a year ago that I'm still very close with today. I've done deals with some of them personally, whether it be wholesale or, fix and flip type stuff. And that's all from creating those relationships out of the positive environment that you're offering. So again, that's one of the reasons why I try to hop onto those meetings whenever I can. And I think what you're doing is great for the industry and great for, the Chicago area and the investors around us, because you're right. You don't see a lot of it. There's no bullshit. It's about contributing and offering help to others, and then it pays you back in the end. And that payback may be an opportunity to joint venture with somebody on a fix and flip, or somehow make money together, or whatever it is. Someone will help you back in the future. And I love that concept, and I love the fact that that's how you're doing it and running your group. Real quick, I think one of the ways we met was actually through you asked me to come on the radio show, right? I think that was the first time we met. You want to touch on what you're doing with the radio right now, or where people can find out more information about that?
So the radio show was really, initially it was like a novel idea. It was like, oh my God. I mean, no, it was, man. I heard somebody else on the radio, and I was like, dude, I can do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. It was, I wish it was something original. It was not, and so, but then as I started doing the show, the novelty wore off, and it was like, okay, how do you do a good show? Right? Who are the people that I want to meet? Who are the people? And what I've noticed is this: a lot of times that people who are successful, they want to share, and now if you go bug them, they don't have time, so it's hard to get through that barrier point. But once you get beyond the barrier point, a lot of people behind it, they're nice people. They're trying to build a business just like all of us, right? And they have a niche or whatever they have figured out that they're doing well at, right? And I have soft corners for people who are self-made entrepreneurs. It's just that, to me, entrepreneurship is the toughest thing. Anybody says, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm like, dude, might as well go get a job, because this shit sucks. It's hard, right? I mean, it's just hard.
Right.
I mean,
definitely
I'll
not
never
easy.
say, that this thing is easy. If I had known how tough it was going to be, maybe I should have tried my hand at something else.
Right.
But, and that's how I had seen you do a lot of REOs and so on and so forth. So the radio show was another place like the RIA to kind of get the word out, to spread the message of what we were doing.
Sure.
It started as a passion. Then we had to figure out, okay, how do we actually create an ROI on this thing, right? And how do we actually make a difference? Because what happens is, again, like anything else, it's tough on the radio to get a message across, right? That has meaning behind it. So what we have tried to do is, over time, bring in a lot of experts like yourself, different people. This week we had a guy, Mitch Stevens, 1,000 Houses.
Sure, yeah.
And so to try to really inspire different ideas, different thoughts. Are you going to get everything from listening to the show? No. But the point is, hopefully we can inspire somebody enough to say, okay, I'm willing to take this and run further, know. So we're on every single week from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock on AM 560 in the Chicago market. So people can go either plug in online, or, of course, you can dial in on your radio. That's AM 560 every Sunday from 12 to 1. So this is the 5th year, I believe, that we're doing it. And, again, had no business plan behind it. It was one of those things that was something I was passionate about. Yeah. And I was like, the hell with it, I'm going to do it. And, a lot of things I do it based on just that whole thing, which is I'm passionate, so I'll do it. Right. And out of 10, 8 things work out, 2 don't, but so is life, So what can I say? So,
well, I love the fact that you're on the radio, because when you invited me on, I didn't even know you were on the radio prior to that. And then we did our show, and then I started tuning in every week, and I'm listening to it. And I was thinking probably the same thing you mentioned earlier. I was like, oh, this guy can do it. I'm like, what? Right. I could probably pull this off,
exactly.
But which kind of inspired me into the podcasting realm, honestly, because I thought, well, this is something that I can. The one problem I would have with the radio would be that commitment to the, you got like your balls to the wall on the radio. Like, you've got dedicated studio time, and you've got people there helping you. I mean, that's awesome. I'm not at that level or ready to commit to something like that. So this is a lot simpler for me, which I like, and just as effective to some degree, right? But the radio does definitely have attaches a label to it where the regular public is listening, and they're like, wow, this is the real deal, which is really what I love about it. So that's incredible. I mean, you've done a great job with your business, and you've accomplished things that a lot of people would be, only can dream of, which I think is incredible. And that's why it was so important for me to have you on the show. I do want to touch on.
All I have to say is this, I've always had these crazy ideas and dreams, but I mean, literally, I don't relate to most people. I still don't. It was the funniest thing. Dan Breslin, one of your friends,
sure.
Right? I was talking to him one day, and I'm like, dude, what do you want to do? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, man, I can grow a business. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what are you trying to do? I'm like, dude, I'd like to buy a jet plane. This is an actual conversation, right? And he's like, you want to do what?
Right.
I'm like, all right, dude. At one time, it was like I can buy a fancy car.
Right.
Now it's no longer exciting, to buy a fancy car. I'm over the houses. I have too many houses, so I don't want a big house at all whatsoever,
Sure.
right? So I'm like, okay, it'd be cool to have a corporate jet, and he's like, he just looked at me like I had lost it, right? and this is, and I just bring it up because it was so funny. It was 2 or 3 other people who were standing around it, but I'm like, man, why not?
Yeah.
What the heck are we going to do? I'm like, think about it. Today we go, dude, you want to go for dinner? You go downtown with a bunch of friends, right?
Right.
You hang out, you have a good time. Who's paying for the dinner is not a big deal. At one time, it was a big deal for me,
Sure.
right? And typically, we'll pick a place that's a hole in the wall with great food because we're over the idea of a fancy restaurant. And now it'd be like, dude, let's take a trip to Florida tomorrow, right? Just because we can. I mean,
Absolutely.
It sounds silly, but it's like, what else do you do? Right? And so I'm looking for things to get excited about because to be able to be in a position to be able to afford something like that, I know a $15 or $20 million business won't do it. The fact is, we need to be, and this was a conversation I had with Rahul, he's like, dude, we need another zero, right? We need to be that $50 to $100 million business. For that, I have to start getting up again, back at the right time in the morning. A lot of things that have become easy for me,
Right.
I can't continue on the same path. If that makes any sense, is that things have to change and we have to go in that next gear mode is to get excited about something.
Yep.
And man, I'm the kind of guy who believes, let's shoot for the moon. You end up in the stars, you're better off. I mean, it's kind of one of those things is let's push the limits as long as we do it honestly, ethically. It's all fun, so.
And actually what you said, I mean, it sounds like a crazy idea to buy your own corporate jet, but if that's gonna drive you to recreate your business in some way, shape, or form to achieve another level of financial independence, then I think that's a good goal to have. What's wrong with that?
See,
I love
it. It's not, but it's like, man, it's hard to meet people who think in that terms, right? Most people are, well, you're materialistic, you want this, you want that, and one thing, I know you've done this because I know, excuse me, I have a cold. That you've helped a bunch of people. They're like, man, Joe's a nice guy. I'm like, yeah, no shit. If you do well over time, if he sends you properties, whatever, he does well because of it, and so on and so forth. And, one thing I'm really, really, really proud of, besides whatever has worked out for us, is there's a ton of people here locally that I can look at in the audience and go, Matthew has 15 properties, Simon's at 20, 25. There's a group of people that has achieved something at a level which is incredible to me. And in a small way, I was a part of it. Absolutely. And I feel very proud of it. I mean, I'm very, very blessed that somebody would take an idea that I had and take it and run with it. Yes. Because it's very gratifying. And whenever I heard somebody talk like that, I'm like, oh, this is BS, man. I mean, I'm a very skeptical type of guy. But today, there's literally a few hundred people that I can point to that have 10, 15, 20 properties more because they took our idea and ran with it.
I love
it. It's very gratifying for me. And I think as long as we can continue that growth and honestly contribute in some meaningful manner, that's the life's purpose, I guess, besides money.
That's awesome. No, I love it. And the fact that you're being open and honest about it and you are truly out there helping people is why it's, that's the most important thing to note, because the skepticism, I think, is worth having, right? Because there's a lot of stuff out there is BS.
Especially when you're on the radio, when you're,
Sure.
It comes with that, right? It's like, right. Oh yeah, this guy must be spinning something, and it's like, right. Guys, listen. I mean,
what's the catch, right?
Yeah, what's the catch? And nobody is that special. Mm-hmm. I'm not that special. You're not that special. We're all struggling to get from point A to point B. Maybe it's just on a bigger level, but that's all it is. And I truly believe that just because we have done one thing well, excuse me,
bless you,
doesn't make us any special. It's just that I think we're in the constant phase of growth, and that's it.
I love it. Right? Continue the growth, because what you're doing is incredible.
Trying, man.
I'd like to transition back to more about some of the property questions I kind of had in mind when I invited you on the show. What And I love everything you said, by the way, so I don't want to undermine that. But let's talk about the property so the listener can get an idea of how a little bit more about what your recommendations are on building a real estate business. What type of acquisition strategies are you guys using right now to continue to acquire and build your portfolio in your fix and flip business?
Predominantly MLS auctions, sheriff sales has been a huge strategy for us.
Okay.
Buying a lot of online auctions.
Okay.
We buy an awful lot from there.
Sure.
And now the new thing we just added is probates.
Okay.
And tax lien certificates.
Okay.
So, and basically, I should say deeds. So now we're in the process of getting to be a bona fide purchaser for tax liens.
Okay.
We're working on that piece of it. I had really never done it. Sometimes I ended up with properties by default. I had never done probates till now. Now, those are the two areas that we're going in heavily because there's a volume of business there. And we only go after things where there's a volume of business, at least so far.
Right.
MLS obviously has been very, very good to me because over time I've made it my business to know the players in the marketplace.
Right.
And we're on top of a lot of MLS leads all the time because we cover a huge geographic area. So that helps also.
Yes. One of the things I've heard you talk about before, and this is kind of related to the MLS, is it sounds like what you're doing is actually reversing the process by you're looking for areas with a certain rental point, a rental price point, and working your way backwards based on what the value of that potential acquisition price could be. Can you talk a little bit more about that strategy just so the listeners can get an idea so maybe they could, utilize it in their own business?
Sure. So basically the thought process is this, that my goal is, if we just start with 257, the goal is to have 5 properties paid off in 7 years and to accumulate them as quick as possible. 2 just happens to be a benchmark. If you can do it quicker, great. So if I want to pay off properties in 7 years, I can only have a mortgage threshold on them of a certain amount. What I mean by that is I cannot put just because I can put a $150,000 mortgage on it, I don't want to, because the cash flow won't pay itself off. Mm-hmm. So I had to build back a model where my maximum threshold on a loan is ideally $85,000 on a single family. That's ideal. Are we able to hit it all the time? No. Okay. So what I did was I came up with some benchmarks that in certain B areas, right, bread and butter areas, I wanted to buy properties which had a lot of equity in them. And then what is the mortgage I can put on them? So the strategy we use is we always buy with cash. The cash comes from private money investors, and that's a part of the RIA. That's where we really get them from. I mean, that's what it is. And so we buy it, we rehab it, and then we refinance it. And the formula is that if the property appraises for $100,000, the bank's going to give you $75,000 on a commercial refinance.
Sure.
So if the property appraises $130,000, it'll be $98,000, whatever the 75% is.
Right.
And so that's the mortgage that we put on it. And my goal is that if I start with $100,000 for the year, with the same $100,000, I want to spin that cycle at least 3 times for the year. So what that means is $100,000 borrowed from somebody else helps me accumulate 3 properties. At the end of the year, I can pay their $100,000 back plus their interest. Mm-hmm. And now I'm left with 3 properties that every single month make me at least $500 a month. That's $1,500 a month, right, total, and that they will pay themselves off in 7 years or less.
Great.
So that's basically the simple formula that I use.
Okay. No, that's great. I mean, you've laid it out very well. I like that. That's something that everyone should consider doing, is laying out a plan and having a strategy, and you've done that, and I know you teach that and you talk about it in your meetings. So, again, that's incredible. So the tax lien business, you're still doing sheriff sales, online auctions, and the MLS, and then probate sounds like where you're getting your property from, and I appreciate you being willing to offer that as an example of how you're getting your deal pipeline coming through. Is there anything you want to talk about as far as I like to ask, is there a common pitfall or unexpected problem that you could offer advice on that you've seen with all your experience as an investor that can help teach someone else in the future to stay away from, or like a worst experience that you learned from that they could now benefit from if they heard it from you?
Man, I guess this is just me. I see 2 types of investors. Number one is a person who knows everything about everything and doesn't do a damn thing. Mm-hmm. That's one. And then the other person is a person who gets attracted to the greener lawn theory all the time. So they think bigger is better.
Okay.
And my belief has always been smaller is always better.
Okay.
Because if you're a cook, right, and you cook every single day, you're going to get burnt. It's not a matter of if you are, you're going to get burnt. I mean, it is incredible. And I used to think this way when I was at deal number 50, 60, 70. I mean, literally, for the first 110 deals, I never lost one dime, ever.
Okay.
Right? So I was like, well, maybe I'm a bloody genius. And it's called stupidity and growth. And you realize that there are deals where you will and get a little bit burnt. I mean, the point is that the deals cannot burn your house down. If you get a little bit, a little bit of a nick, it's okay. It's going to happen, right? And what I'm trying to go with this is this. People will come into real estate. Maybe they do one or two deals. It doesn't work out for them, they quit. That's one. Other people will do big home runs with first or second deals. If they've done the biggest home runs with first or second deals, the third deal, they're going to lose money. I can bet on it almost 99% times.
Sure.
That's just what statistics say, right? Or they do something very well, and suddenly they're like, oh my God, I'm going to do this $200,000 rehab. And they will give back everything to the market that they just made in the first 5, 6, or 7.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And what I've learned is one thing that, to the most extent, I've stayed away from is, I'm fascinated just like the other guy, that please don't do things that are outside your expertise. Mm-hmm. Take very, very small risks, build a huge business doing that, and then if you like to lose money, go try your hand at something else. But then at least you have $2, $3, $5 million in assets set aside, and then you can play with 50, 60, $100,000.
Right.
And I just want to caution people, because right now, as the new construction is coming back, as the second story additions is coming back in a big way in our market, I see that people are getting annihilated with it. That they're going back into that whole flip thing, the flip this house and all the silly shows where there's no accounting of numbers. I mean, that's the biggest issue, is the accounting of numbers is not there. And they really think a beautiful, pretty house with the unique fireplace that they put in is what makes money. That has nothing to do with it. Right? That has nothing to do with it. Become an interior decorator, at least you're decorating somebody else's house on somebody else's dime, not your own dime. It sounds harsh, but literally I've seen investors go and run after shinier, brighter objects. And my point is this: 100 people will start, right? 99 people won't do anything. Out of that 1%, a few people will, right? And in the 1%, there'll be one guy in that 1%, that there'll be a 0.0001 who'll go do big projects and make it big. I think the way you become a multimillionaire is you start small and just keep doing multiples of small things.
Okay.
And over time, you build a fortune. I don't think that if you're shooting for $100,000, $200,000 flip type of returns, I think it's a mistake. That's just my theory. I'm not saying that can't be done, but I would not try to go that big initially. I would build a huge business doing small things, take 20/30, 20/30, 20/30, learn to put a system around it, make it automated to the most extent, except the buying side of it, right? And then try your hands at bigger things, so that even if you lose, you're not burning your whole business up. Maybe you just get a little bit of a burn and you're like, okay, not doing that one again, or I'm going to modify that and not kill your whole business, if that makes any sense.
It totally makes sense. I'm hearing two things that keep repeating themselves, and that's the KISS method: keep it simple, stupid, right?
Absolutely.
Stick with what you know, and then rinse and repeat. So if you've got it figured out, right, just do it over and over until you find success. And I'm myself a victim. During the last boom and crash, I went from single family flipping and buy and holds. I got into multi-unit and even apartment buildings. And when the market came crashing down, I went right down with it and had to deal with a lot of problems in order to get out from under it, which I thankfully did. But it taught me a very good lesson, which was it made me really pay attention to how debt service works on property and making the right amount of net income. Just like you said, $500 a month. That's pretty much my personal benchmark on a single family. Is I want to be making it at a minimum. I'm looking for at least $400 if the numbers seem to work or the I really like the area, or there's something about the house that really appeals to me, but I'm looking for $500, net income per month, all day long. That's like my bare minimum. I don't even want to look at it if it doesn't seem like it's going to hit that benchmark. And again, that whole experience taught me a lot about what goes on in real estate, as well as the risks that are involved. Thank God I was able to, walk away from it, unscathed, we'll say, but it was not an easy process, and it was a couple of years of really hard work in order to make that go away. That said, this has been a great podcast. You're very personable. You're honest. I love it. I'm looking forward to the next time we get together. I know we're supposed to have a lunch at some point, and that kind of got away from us. So I'll definitely put that on the calendar to reach out to you to schedule something. Is there anything else you just want to add before I got a couple more questions that are just wrap-ups, but anything else you want to add before that?
No, man. all I'll say is, quite honestly, we need more people like you. And I'll say I don't want anything from anybody. That's just my philosophy in life is give me a group of people who are honest, positive. If great stuff is happening in your business, God bless you. Right. If there's anything I can do to contribute, I'm happy to do it. But really, I'd like to learn from the goof-ups you've had. Hopefully, I can contribute meaningfully back in your business because what I truly value that it's tough to learn from your own mistakes. It's a bitch because the money goes out of your pocket, and it's a lot of stress. And so I truly now, as I'm in the search for people who you can sit down with, share great ideas with some logic and meaning behind it. People who think through what they say, especially in terms of business, rather than just throw out things. Oh, well, somebody's doing X, Y, Z. Well, it doesn't mean anything to me, right? And so really I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about getting a great group of friends together that all of us need to do well. It's not okay just for me to do well or just for you to do well. Sure. We as a group need to hopefully push each other and do well and inspire. So absolutely.
I love it. That's great. Do you have any type of, I know you've got your coaching program, but give me an example of something you look to as either a source of guidance or educational resource, like a book or another podcast, or maybe some type of course that you can recommend for the listeners.
Specifically, this is for people who are here in Chicago. I would recommend, if they've never gone and checked out CIC, Community Investment Corporation.
Okay, sure.
It's a not-for-profit group, or I don't know what it is, but it's a group in Chicago which is a consortium of banks, especially if they're interested in the multi-unit space. It's put together by all the banks. It's probably the best place to go ask for a loan and to get information. And they will teach you how to buy multi-units. They'll teach you how to manage them. It is the best $50 course you will ever take in your life. And I can say that with confidence. And so not only are they a bank, but they vet the deals for you. And they have deals for you. So they are it's a phenomenal organization. So especially if somebody is here in Chicago, I would highly, highly recommend that people check that out, take their property management course. These people know what the heck they're talking about. Phenomenal amount of knowledge. And I think it's important for people, if they're Chicago REIA members, if they're members at your place, is go to different people's meetings. Don't go and spout off. Don't be disrespectful of their meeting and promote Chicago REIA. There's the wrong thing to do. But at every meeting, good, bad, indifferent, there are people who are doing something. Try to meet those people, make friendships, try to contribute. And what starts happening is you attract the cream man always rises to the top. You can't put a good man down. Right. That's just how it is. And I believe in that theory, that you put out a lot of good stuff over time, a lot of great stuff comes back to you. And I think truly that's what it's about. But if somebody, and I think if there's a guy that I followed for years, you might have heard of him. The name is called Mike Ferry. And Mike had probably the attitude that I have comes from Mike. This attitude of passion and going for it. And there was a great recording that Mike had done, which is something to do on your way of thinking, expanding your thinking. That's an old cassette. I don't know if they have it on CD or not, and maybe $20, $30, right? I'm not getting nothing out of it. I have nothing to do with it. But Mike was the first person in my life who said, you can have anything that you want. The question is, are you willing to pay a price for it? Mm-hmm. And I have a higher amount of respect for him because he was teaching real estate agents how to sell a lot of real estate. It had nothing to do with investing, but he put this attitude that there are leaders and then there are followers. And you have 24 hours in a day. What the hell are you going to do with it? Because I saw him literally make fun of people making $2, $3, $4 million gross commissions earned, right? Because his point wasn't what you earn. The question is, what is your potential? If your potential is this and you're only here, I don't care how good this is, it sucks because we know this is possible. I mean, it's just that there was this thinking, which was that if you can close 400 transactions, 200 just sucks, even though 200 might be so much better than anybody else.
Right.
And so if anybody's interested in that type of thinking,
sure.
MikeFerry.com is a great place.
Cool.
And just a wonderful set of very positive and gung-ho people. You can't be in a room with them and not be inspired. So.
No, that's, two great pieces of information. The Community Investment Corp. I know a little bit about them, and I'm definitely going to check out what their educational piece is now. Thanks for bringing that up. And then Mike Ferry as well for the listeners, and I'll check out what he's all about. I've never followed any of what he puts out there, but hearing it from you, then I definitely want to see what it's all about. So just to wrap it up here, I just want to say again, thank you for taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule. I really appreciate what you've brought to the table here today and what we've talked about. It's an incredible podcast and a lot of great information. Tell the audience where they can either get in touch with you or the best way to contact you and your group again, just so we can bring that forward for anyone who's interested in what you're all about and what you're offering.
They can go either to the website, it's chicagorea.org. That's Chicago, REIA.org.
Okay.
Or email us at info@chicagorea.org. Or if you're the phone type, it's 847-303-5011. That's 847-303-5011. And I would really like to encourage that. I know you had done a recording with Dan. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but with Dan Carlton,
yep.
I think that was probably, it came out really well. Dan is very well spoken.
It was awesome.
I think the podcast, all the space that is out there, there's so many incredibly good people, man. Mm-hmm. And there's so much information that's available for free. You don't have to pay anything for it, right? I mean, you have to pay nothing for it.
Right.
Literally, that for anybody, use that first. The heck with paying somebody 10, 20, 30, 50,000 bucks. I mean, I'm the first one to say, use the free information and then understand who's behind it, why they're saying what they're saying. Take the time to go check people out. Do not believe people just because they claim to have fancy things.
Sure.
Find out if they have damn assets. Right. And real estate information is public information, guys.
Right.
This is the best part about it. You can look it up. So if I say, 160 houses, 200 houses, whatever, you do a little bit of research. This is public records, for God's sake. And I'm not saying that just because everybody makes up stuff. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It will educate you. If you look up the properties that we own, you can see where it was bought, what was the loan we put on it, what type of strategy we used, what is the long term that happens, and you can figure out every single piece of the numbers backwards.
Yes.
And I am passionate about research. That if somebody says something, I will research it out because a lot of times it will fill in the gaps for me.
Right.
And real estate to me is all about research. It's all the rest of the stuff can be learned. If you become a good researcher, you can basically break down somebody else's business and you can lay out the steps for yourself. So.
I love it. That's another great tidbit that the listeners can get out of this podcast was, that public information aspect and working backwards, figuring out what other investors have done. I mean, it is all out there on the table, and that's incredible. Thanks for bringing that up. And you did that podcast you were talking about was the Investor Empowerment Series radio show, episode number 4 and 5. I interviewed Dan Clarton, who is a avid wholesaler as well as a fix and flipper and a buy and hold type investor. He's another great example of a product of what comes out of Andrew's group. I met him at your group. He actually came to one of my meetups, and we were fast friends, and we've actually done some deals since, which is great. Another reason why people should be going out to these networking meetings and talking to other investors, because it just creates additional goodwill and potential profitability for everyone involved. So, Andrew, again,
Great.
thank you very much. I'm going to be in touch regarding setting up a lunch for us here in the next month or so. I look forward to seeing you again at one of your meetups. Thanks for your time
Thank
today.
you, bud. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, you have a good day. Thank you.
All right, man. Talk
right,
to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Investor Empowerment Series radio show. Be sure to tune in next week for another empowering episode. We welcome your feedback, so please rate us on iTunes and Stitcher, and visit us at www.investoремpowermentchicago.com or tennisgrouprealty.com.